Donnie Houston.
Nice. What's going on, man?
How you doing, brother? What's happening?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
Man, I'm good, man. Just finished DJing, about to get back on as soon as we done.
Yeah, I was in there with the Montees, man.
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about the Fasss Auntie Lounge, man.
Man, it's a good time place, man. You know, it's something to hold us over until we open back up, whenever that'll be. Yeah, it's just, I'm a proponent of playing music that I like, and it's good that some DJs got to play music they don't like. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a proponent of playing music that I like, and it's lucky that about 1,000 or 2,000 or how many thousand people jump in like it with me, and that's what it is. I ain't gotta conform. I ain't gotta do none of that. You know what I mean? So that's what I like a lot.
Yeah, nah, it's just jams, man. Like I was just in there, and I mean, you be pulling out stuff I never heard, bro. Like you just
The
play
90s,
the
the
getting up
90s was
remix.
loaded like that, man. The 90s was loaded, man. It was lots of music, man. The bar was very high. You know, in the 90s, there were only a few people like going for like pop status. You know, that's the thing. Now everybody wants to be in pop status. But in the 90s, it wasn't about being pop status. If you went pop, you went too far, especially when it came to hip hop and black music. So, the challenge was to outdo everybody's album. If it sold, it sold. But the challenge was go by somebody's studio, listen to it, listen to their music, and then try to beat it. That was the challenge. So, yeah.
That's what's up. Nah, it's dope seeing it, man. Because I remember seeing, I think you used to promote a party. What was it, 9-5 Live or something? I think I might have seen.
95 Live. 95 Live.
Yeah, and is that kind of the same type of vibe as Fasss Auntie Lounge?
Yeah, I mean, how it went down is, long story short, I try to make this a short story. About 15 years ago, I met a guy who ended up now being I've known him for 15 years. He's one of my best friends now. But at the time, he's a dentist. Graduated from Morehouse undergrad and went to Howard for dental school, Howard University. And so my tooth was certainly real bad, and I knew some people that knew him, so they hooked me up with him. So I went to see him, and we started talking about a lot of things we had in common. Because I had dropped out of school, he probably would have been my friend earlier, but when I dropped out of school, started doing music, I surrounded myself with a totally different type of people. You know what I mean?
Music got you out of college, or you just said, I'm just going to
I dropped out. Yeah, I straight dropped out. And but that surrounded me with a total, my circle changed. My circle went from college friends to like cats who's trying to do music or cats doing other stuff. You know what I mean? But when I started to do music and started to get paid from it, I kind of leaned back towards the crowd I was used to being around, which was college kids, you know what I mean? But they had not all graduated and went on. So I met this guy, and, we, he was a dentist. So I went to see him. So when I went to see him, we started talking about, he was already a fan of mine, but we started talking about all, similarities that we had in the music that we love. And so next thing you know, he was like, man, Tom Joyner, they age too old for us. You know what I mean? Like the Tom Joyner crew is like 60s and 70s and some of the 80s, right? And then, this is 2005, so we're looking like Wayne and all of that is too young for us. We know who Wayne is, we love him, but that's not really us either. So
that 2005, that was like a new wave. That was like
it was a new wave, right? But and a lot of people that we did like, Game and everybody. But it was still not us. Us was from Spike Lee on up. You know what I mean? Like a lot of us started at Spike Lee. You know what I mean? Like right at 86, 87, 88. And all the way up to like 2001, 2002. 2003, when we started counting to get off the boat. We're like, I'm going to listen to what's out and I'm going to like who I like, but I ain't too much trying to look for nobody new. And sometimes that happens. We do like people new, but sometimes we tend to stick with what we know. So I was talking to him. I said, man, like, we ain't old school. We ain't new school. We kind of true school. We kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
And that's why I came up with true school DJs. So we started to travel around the world. We went to London, went everywhere, Amsterdam, doing these parties, specifying on, being very specific on who we were playing for. like before the term was grown and sexy, which is a term I hated. Before the term was 25 and up, every party's 25 and up.
Yeah.
Because people don't understand 25 and up. It's like the liquor age. It moves every year. You can't be 25 and up. Worked 10 years ago when you were 35, but now it's you going on 50. 25 and up don't work for you. You know what I mean? So we were stuck in this particular space, and so we would go around doing parties, specifically speaking to what I call the Spike Lee generation. So we were speaking to Generation Xers. We speaking to us, and so then that's when 95 Live came out of, just giving a place where people my age can go party. You know what I mean? Because we like hip hop, but we also like old school soul, and we like, you know what I mean, and go-go and reggae and all of that, house.
Because all that was going on. I mean, in the 90s, it was very diverse.
It was everything.
Hip-hop station, you might catch shop ranks on there. You know what I mean?
You might, exactly. So
yeah.
So then that kind of, when COVID hit, I started DJing, but I didn't want to just DJ. I wanted to create a place, and Fasss Auntie Lounge came about, and that's who we at. So
yeah. Nah, they in here. I see them kisses, man. They
yeah, my Fasss Aunties up here, man. Look at that. Don't play around. Don't play. Don't play. So.
Yeah, so man, I'm gonna be like when I started seeing the 95 Live thing, that was like my first time like knowing Ninth Wonder as a DJ. Did you start as a DJ first and then get in production, or was it the other way around?
I did. I mean, I started as a band geek first. I was in the band and all of that.
Dude, what'd you play? I was percussion.
I started playing clarinet first, and then but then that was 6th grade. By the time I got to the 8th grade, I was playing like 7 different instruments. I played percussion. I played, trombone. It was like if somebody was missing that day, that's what I played. If we were missing a person, I played whatever was missing. So, but it was crazy because that was at the same time I was listening to golden age hip hop. So I was getting the best of both worlds. I was learning music theory, but I was also listening to Brand Nubian. So I had them both. So then after that, I started DJing like in the late 90s. And there's this DJ that went to NC State named Lil D that taught me how to DJ because I didn't know how to DJ. Sometimes if you're musically inclined, you pick up stuff pretty fast. You know what I mean? You understand what I mean? So I started to DJ and I picked it up pretty fast. And then I started to make beats. And I was mid 2000s, I was in Miami with 8-Track. 8-Track, 8-Track the DJ. And 8-Track was standing beside me watching me DJ. And I was like, you 8-Track, man, why you standing here watching me? He's like, because it's always good to hear producers DJ. Y'all DJ different from we do. Y'all DJ strictly for feel. We DJ for BPM. Y'all DJ for feel. Whatever feels good coming next. Because y'all feel the music different. And I was like, wow, I never thought about that. But I started off in the hip hop terms as a DJ first, yeah.
Yeah. So then when did you actually get into production?
I got into production making beats around 1998, 1999. And
wait, this wasn't Fruity Loops back then, though, right?
No, it was a program called Beatbox, and then there was a program called Hammer. And I took those programs and like combined it with Cool Edit Pro. And then I was into well, you now know it as Adobe Audition.
Adobe, yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, my bad. I'm probably a little older than you may think I am, man. You know what I'm saying? And
how old are you?
What's up?
How old are you?
I'm 35.
Okay, so yeah.
And
you still know it as Adobe Audition.
Yeah, and I started off. I've been DJing since I was 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? We actually have met a few different times. I'm sure you're gonna remember. You know what I'm saying?
Where did we meet?
And okay, so we had this one interaction in 2010 on Twitter. Then you came to Houston and did DJ Superstar's roof party. And then you were here last year for the Duce party. So
I do remember that. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So we met a few times, man. Yeah.
So yeah,
But yeah, you were saying with the Adobe though. So okay.
Adobe Audition, yeah. So I started it, and then I was introduced to Fruity Loops in 2000.
Tell me this process because I'm geeking out now. How do you combine those two programs with it? Like, how is this system? I'm just trying to put this together in my head. How does it even work?
You talking about with Fruity Loops and Cool Edit?
Nah, before, when you were doing the first two programs you were saying.
Okay, so I will make the drum track in Beatbox or Hammer, and then I would chop the sample up in Cool Edit. and then bring the sample over the hammer and lay it on top of it was weird. That's how I would do it. Yeah. It's a process.
Yeah,
but all of we would do all our recording in in Kool-Aid. We do our recording in there and stuff like that, and it worked, right? You know, when everybody was working on Pro Tools, we was on Kool-Aid, man. That's just crazy. Yeah.
So the Fruity Loops thing, I mean, you like a real pioneer with the Fruity Loops, man. Like, how did you even get into that?
I've been told. Well, two people turned me on to it. My man Crisis, Crisis, and my man Eccentric, both turned me on the Fruity Loops, and somebody tried to sell me. How I got into making beats on computer anyway. This dude in the dorm tried to sell me an MP for like $3,000. This is in '96, bro.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's in '96. $3,000 in '96 is worth about $10,000 now. You know what I mean? Like, this is when gas was 99 cents a gallon, bro.
Right.
97 cents.
Yeah.
89 cents a gallon. And he was trying to charge me $3,000 for an MP, and I was like, bro, I can't do it. I'm in school. And so we started making beats on computer, and I started off with those early programs. Then once I got into Fruity Loops, man, I freaked it as much as possible. And, with, Hit Boy and Boy Wonder and a lot of cats, I'm huh?
It's a thing now. That's like when it used to be like, oh, you use Fruity Loops, and now it's like, oh, you don't use Fruity Loops?
I mean, just all the way. When I first started, I was on Fruity Loops 2.56. Then it was Fruity Loops 3. Then it was Fruity Loops 4.0. Then it didn't turn into FL Studio to number 6. Is when it turned into FL Studio, and then it just went from there. And when I first started to use Fruity Loops, man, people tried to hate on me about it. You know what I mean? Like, you making beats on computer. Well, not everybody make beats on computer.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's crazy. And I just stuck with it. I really didn't care because I was selling beats. I was making a little money. You know what I mean? So I really didn't care at all what I did as far as how I made it. I just wanted it to sound right. So, yeah.
Man, so tell me about what led up to, because you have probably one of the livest, like, I'm here, my moment, you know what I mean? I'm in the game now things with the Jay-Z thing. Like, how did you even get to that point?
It was just Young Guru had heard the first Little Brother album, and I didn't know. That was at the time where, we were on the internet, but you didn't know where your music was going. Now you can kind of track it. With Instagram and Twitter, you can track it, man. People put where they're from, everything. It's more concentrated to know where your followers are coming from, as opposed to like being in a chat room. You don't know. It was very tough because labels didn't know how to quantify our fan base. They didn't know how to find them. But one of our fans was Young Guru, and he was listening to the listening for a long time. I didn't even know. And until we had a mutual friend, and he reached out to me through that mutual friend. And I went to New York, and that was it. And I say it all the time, like that wasn't on my radar, you know what I mean? Like, Jay-Z wasn't on my trajectory or my road. My road was, I was a Rockers kid, so I was a little Mos Def and Quali, and because it's not necessarily what they were saying, it was the fact that they were just rapping over beats that I liked. I really didn't get into the if you positive or negative. I didn't get into that. It was more of y'all was rapping on some warm, soulful sounds, and I can get with that. And so, but Jay-Z wasn't on my trajectory. I didn't think I would ever meet anybody like a Jay-Z or Destiny's Child or Mary or anybody like that. I just thought I was like, stuck in this space until that came along. So I went to New York and
okay, first of all, you're going to New York, and I know it's old news now. You used to went on and produce, but at the time, you feeling going to New York like, man, I'm getting ready to go. Like,
yeah, look, right. You're right. I had already made friends with Questlove at that time. Questlove was a big co-signer for us, and he had already took us under his wing, right? But at the time, him and Jay-Z were great friends because they had just did Unplugged, MTV Unplugged together.
Yeah.
And so, they had a mutual respect for each other. So they were doing a lot of texting back and forth. So when I was on the way to New York, I texted Questlove and told him, man, I'm going to New York to play beats for Jay. And he was like, oh, man. So what was crazy was I got to New York that morning. Questlove brought me a train. He bought me a train ticket to come to Philly for 2 hours. I went to Philly for 2 hours. I was with the Roots. At the time, they were working on Phrenology. So I went to play beats for Phrenology. And then they had a jam session. So I got to meet everybody. That was the first time I met Jill Scott. That was crazy.
Oh,
Jill Scott was there.
Yeah, so this is a trip.
Yeah, this is a trip. Like Jill Scott was in the studio. A very young Lettucey was in the studio. The Roots, the Jazzy Fat Nasties, like everybody was there. And so we were all in the studio, and I was talking to them or whatever, hanging with them. And so then got back on the train, went back to New York City that same night. Cause my beat, I was supposed to play beats for Jay-Z at 9:30. I got to the studio at 9:30, and yeah, bro, it was something it would just totally turn my life upside down. Like I just didn't expect for it to happen. It totally changed. It changed my life, and it changed the way I view people in hip hop. You know what I mean? Like I didn't.
In what sense? Like personally, or just like in business?
Yeah, like at that time, and some people are still in this space I'm about to explain. At that time, man, it was an underground versus overground. You commercial, you backpack, you this, you that. Yo, man, it just totally flipped to what I thought or what I was conditioned to think what the industry was giving us. I stopped thinking conscious, unconscious, backpack, real, fake. I stopped thinking that. I just started thinking, is it dope or is it garbage? I really didn't get into that anymore, because I just started to listen to music for what it was, and that's what I got away from those monikers and those things. I just started like music again, like I did in the 90s, because in the 90s we listened to everything. We listened to Tribe and Too Short at the same time. Yeah. They had two totally different messages.
Yeah.
We listened to NWA, we listened to everybody, you know what I mean? But this had to be dope to me. Late 90s, 2000s, we started to separate. It was underground, overground, backpack, real, commercial, sellouts. It was too much. And I got tired of that, man. And, the Jay-Z trip taught me that. It taught me that it doesn't matter about how much money he makes. It doesn't matter at the time he was dating Beyonce at the time. That none of that mattered. All I knew is he stood up and he wrote a song in his head and got in the booth and spit it. That's all I know. And I was like, it's best MC ever, dog. I ain't never seen. And it's not like he's getting in the booth saying rat, sat, hat, mat, cat.
He in there talking about something, yeah.
And it's double, triple entendres, and you making this up off your brain, like, yeah, all right.
So, were you a Jay-Z fan at the time?
No, and that's the thing about it. Like, I had respect for him. Like, Reasonable Doubt, a lot of people didn't like in my lifetime. Hard Knock Life.
Imaginary Players, though, man. There's a couple gems on there, though, man.
It is. Being one question is Imaginary Players. Come on now.
Yeah.
Hard Knock Life is dope. Volume 3 was okay. I did like Streets is Watching. The Dynasty was good, but the Blueprint is what spoke to me because, again, the beats sounded soul. Soul spoke to me. So I was like, okay. And so, but again, I'm still stuck in this Mos Def, Kweli, Rock. I'm still raucous, you know what I mean? Because raucous was the closest thing to native tongues for me. So I didn't want to sit away from that, too far from that. And so then once I got to New York and I started to see him work and watch him and watch how he put songs together and watch his lyrical ability, I'm like, yo, like, and then really started to study. That's when music really became a study for me. Production really became a study. Because I was like, man, he's saying like, when the gun is tucked, untucked, nigga, you die like nunchucks held by the jet li. So even from that, he was rhyming vowels.
Yeah.
It's easy to rhyme consonants, but vowels.
Yeah.
Up, tuck, 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 When the gun is tucked, untucked, nigga, you die like nunchucks held by the jet li. I'm the one not meaning no one must try. No 2, no 3, no 4, no Y. Because 1's 4, 5 might blow your high. That's rhyming
That was
vowels.
crazy.
See, that's the breakdown that people be, when I say that, they be like, damn, he is rhyming vowels. Biggie rhyme vowels. All the greats rhyme vowels. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, he's not writing it down. Like, he's just saying it off the top. His brain, like.
So you're in this. Okay, tell me this. When you get to the studio though, to the Roc-A-Fella session, who's all there? Who's all at the studio when you get there? Is it
what? And see, this is a time where, again, I don't think I'm supposed to be there. So I don't think I'm gonna meet any of these people.
Because this is peak Roc-A-Fella.
Yeah, this is peak. This is everything clicking all cylinders, Roc-A-Fella right here. So this is, okay, they had just signed Kanye West, like maybe earlier that year. This is 2003. So it's just Freeway, Clark Kent, Cedric the Entertainer, Beyonce.
So was Ced planned to be on that record, or he was just there hanging out and it went down like that?
Nah, he was there just for that record.
Okay.
Cedric the Entertainer, Beyonce, Sauce Money, Young Guru. And see, what's crazy is not only they were there, but people were there that Jay-Z used to talk about in song, but I didn't know what they looked like. Tata.
Yeah.
He used to take Tata all the time.
Yeah.
I finally saw this dude walk past me. Somebody said Tata. He said, yo, what up? And I was like, oh, God, that's Tata. Like,
yeah.
Now, all of these people are coming to life. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like watching an X-Men movie for the first time. You hear about them on the comic books, and then you see them in real life. It's like, yo, that go Captain America fan. Like, it's like that. And so that's who was there. It was a crazy time, man. It was a crazy time.
Are you intimidated?
I was young.
Are you intimidated by any of this going on, or you just like, man, I'm just here to just...
I wasn't going to show it. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't going to, I talked about an interview. I did an interview a couple of days ago, and I talked about how act like you've been there before. I just act like I was there before. I didn't want to go in there acting and being a weirdo. You know what I mean? Like, we take a picture, man, get an autograph. Like, I wasn't doing none of that. You know what I mean? I was just, my sole goal was to look, I'm going to get on this album, bro. Like, this is a Jay-Z album. This is supposed to be his last album. It's the Black Album. What? I'm getting on this record.
Are you hearing records that they already working on at the time, or you just
man, I played. I did my. He did me a favor. He let me make my beat. He let me make the beat and all of that. I made the beat. He got on it. He did his first verse, and after we did that, then he let me hear the records on the album. And I'm like, I ain't gonna make it. Like, I ain't gonna make it. Why? I'm asleep. But he was, it was crazy. After I was done, Goo called me. It was September 22nd, 2003. I'm gonna say about 2-3 weeks later, Young Guru called me and he said, "Hey, yo, man, you track number 7." 7 the God number, man.
How does that? Okay,
God
how does
number.
that feel? How does that feel?
I was like, man. I remember calling my mama. And it's crazy. Just 3 years prior, I told my mom I was dropping out of school, right? And she was mad at me, but she said, "It's your life. Do what you want to do." This is a son telling his mom, who's a teacher, "You're dropping out of school. This ain't no good conversation."
Yeah.
And that was 2000. And so then this is 2003, and I'm telling my mama that I made a Jay-Z album. And I remember us being on the phone, and she was like, you know, I wasn't happy when you dropped out of school. She said, "But this is your life, and son, you did good." Boy, I lost it on the phone. I just broke down on the phone. Yeah. Because, you know, it's tough trying to start pursuing a dream. So many people talk you out of it. So many people say you can't do it, you know, and sometimes you're pressured by the society to not even try. And amidst my friends, amidst, you know, anybody around me that said I couldn't, amidst everybody saying that, you know, you supposed to do this, you supposed to do that, amidst all the family members saying you going to Thanksgiving, they saying, "Yo, you still doing that little music thing?" Guess what I used to get? I used to get that. You still doing a little music thing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Anytime they put that little on there, it's like,
little and thing, whatever in the middle. That's what it is. You doing that little music? You still doing that little music thing?
Yeah.
So, and then that changed. It just changed everything, man. The Black Album was a culmination of a lot of things. It changed everything. That is like, I've done a lot of work since then. You know, everything from Jay to Kendrick Lamar. You know what I mean? That's still the number one track I get asked about the most, because of the magnitude of the moment, the magnitude of the album. You know, it's still the one that people say, "Bro, look, you did a lot of stuff," but because me being on that album represented a band of people. It represented a lot of people that some people thought that somebody like me was not supposed to be on a Jay-Z record. That's the putting people in the box thing. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna be honest. That made me. I don't mean to cut you off, but you know, this is 2000s, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in college at the time. I never forget this, bro. I ain't had the money to go buy the album. I had a bootleg. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Of course.
So I ain't had the credits. You know what I mean? So when he said Ninth Wonder, I'm like, nah.
That ain't it. He got to be lying. Right? Exactly.
Nah, I had to go to my boy, and I'm like, man, let me see the credits real quick. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he said your name.
And he said my name. And that's kind of, you know, Jay-Z at the time, he's still one of the few or only rappers in rap music history that if he says your name on a track, you're out of here. It's usually the other way around. Most rappers are made by the producers. They rap on, like, if Pharrell calls you for a track, you got a great chance of being out of here. He's Pharrell. Jay-Z is the only rapper, if not one of the few rappers, that if he says your name, you go. You out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was wild because I don't know what he added in for me, man. Like every interview he did an interview for Rap City. He did an interview for MTV with Torre. He would name the producers on the album because they say, "Who you got produced on the album?" He said, "You know, I got Just Blaze, Kanye West, DJ Quick, Pharrell, Timbaland, and of course, you know, I got some new talents." He said, "I got the Buchanans, I got Aqua, and this kid named Ninth Wonder is going to be serious." He said that in every interview. I got the YouTube. This kid named Ninth Wonder is going to be serious. When he got to me, he just broke the Buchanans, Aqua, and this kid named Ninth Wonder. He's going to be serious. Like
when y'all were doing a record, were you like bonding with him, or were y'all like building a relationship at the time? It was just like, hey,
no. Like I saw him that night. We was in the studio for 3 days. When I came back up, I came back up to mix the record. That was in October of 2003. And it was me and Guru in there by ourselves. And then he came in there. He had just got from Detroit recording Moment of Clarity with Eminem. And he said, man, before you go, I want you to hear something. I said, okay. So he played me Moment of Clarity. He said, I want you to really pay attention to the second verse. And that's the truthfully, I want to rhyme like common sense, but I did 5 mil. I ain't rhyme like common sense. After he rhymed that verse, I looked at him.
That's what he wants. He want that.
I looked at him with a stupid face, like, what? And he looked at me like, he just did. That's all he did was, like, yeah, I got problems. Like for real. Like, I'm like, man, you listen. And so from that, I didn't see him anymore. I saw him at the Fade to Black premiere. I saw him there. And then I didn't hear from him anymore until he called me on the phone and said, yo, I want you to send beats to Destiny's Child. Okay.
I was going, that's how that works.
That's how that, yeah.
Straight through.
Because the night I played beats for Jay-Z, Beyonce was laying on the couch.
Bro, you talk about it. Man, when it's your time, man.
Yes, it's still monumental time, bro. Still. Yeah.
So man, you go on to the Destiny's Child, you know, and they end up singles. You know what I mean? You talking about Girl, and I mean,
yeah, Girl's my first single. I was supposed to have 4 on that album, but I ended up with 3. I was going to have 4, and I remember their A&R, Teresa LaBarber's great lady, called me and was like, you know, you're going to go in the studio with the girls, and, you know, they're not letting a lot of producers in the studio with them, but you're allowed. And, you know, and I went to LA and that's the first time I met Sean Garrett, because he wrote the songs. And I met him there, and we went to the studio, and we spent 3 days with Destiny's Child, and Girl became a single. Girl was my first single. Girl was the first song out of all the beats I had done before then, all the Little Brother stuff, all, you know, the Jay-Z record, whatever. Girl was the first single I had. And it was the first song that I had a video for on television. And I remember watching it on BET, the premiere of Girl. The video was like Sex in the City. And I was like, this is crazy. I just looked at the TV like, this is crazy. Like, I'm just, again, Destiny's Child was not on my,
yeah.
They did Survivor and Pay My Bills, and
this is a real pop group. Like,
yeah, it wasn't my jams. It wasn't my jams. Like,
yeah, Survivor,
Can You Pay My Bills, and you know what I mean? That just wasn't my mob. Like, I wouldn't ride around in the car playing Destiny's Child songs. I just wasn't.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, what in the world am I gonna do? And I remember being in the studio and Beyonce said, we got you here. You're here because we want you to do you. I said, oh, wow. And so I started to think, if I can get them to do some J. Blige's kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
The 90s
Mary J. Drums and some samples, and if they sing over that, ooh. And so I started thinking about, like, how I listen to the first album that came to mind was My Life. That's the first. I said, if I can get them to be on some My Life type of joints, I'm like, yeah, like that's. And so that's what it was. And a Girl, Is She the Reason? And Game Over was what came out of that.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Come on, man. Okay, so come on, man. All right.
Look, man. It's a fairy tale, dog. I have lived a fairy tale. But
did you get a Grammy for a Black album? I know the Destiny's Child came with the Grammy, right?
No, Mary J. Blige. So, and that came. Let me tell you how the Mary J. Blige thing came. That's the platinum. Let me tell you how that came. So, it was the Best of Both Worlds tour. R. Kelly got kicked off.
Yeah. Hey,
Oh,
I
na-
wasn't gonna do it.
nasty Kales. Nasty Kales got kicked off. And it was I remember that tour. It's Best of Both Worlds. And
So are you at the tour, like on some backstage type, just hanging around?
I went to the one in Greensboro. I went to the Best of Both Worlds tour in Greensboro. I didn't meet old Nasty Kales. What I saw,
Had he already left by then?
huh?
Had he already left by then, or you just like I ain't...
No, he was. I mean, he was there, but he was in his dressing room. I didn't really want to meet. Look, man, I'm
So
not
even
the
back
type
then,
of
he
person.
was like, man, I ain't.
Yeah, like the tape had already been circulating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People trying to figure out who it was. I'm like, man, and I really wasn't a big. I love his music, but I really wasn't a big. I'm just a big person. I gotta really admire you to want to meet you. Some people like to take pictures of people with people to meet people just because they famous. I ain't got time for that. Like I got to really be a fan of yours to say, hey, bruh, listen. And Nasty Cares wasn't it. So
Okay.
especially my Fasss Auntie is what I'm talking about when I say especially heinous. Yeah, especially heinous. He was not it. And so it was the Best of Both Worlds tour. He was on the tour. And then 2 weeks later, he got kicked off the tour. And he was replaced by Mary J. Blige. They came to Raleigh, and he did an interview on K97.5 here in Raleigh, North Carolina. And I listened to the interview on the radio. And of course they asked him about me. They asked him about me. And they said, so yeah, we just want to thank you, for putting our hometown boy Ninth Wonder on the Black Album. And he was talking about it. And he said in the interview, yeah, it's crazy. I was just talking to Mary J. Blige last night about Ninth Wonder. Oh
Man.
And so he said this in an interview. And then 2 weeks later, Geffen called. And it was like, yo, you need to send some beats for Mary. Okay.
This is crazy.
You listen, let me tell you. It's a fair. Everybody thinks that you meet somebody, you play a beat, they like it. Like if I meet them in a show and I give them a beat CD, that I don't care if it's Mary, Badu, Destiny's Child, Jay, Kendrick Lamar, David Banner, Ludacris. None of those happen like that. None of those. I went in the A&R room and played beats and they pick these, and none of those happen like that. None of them. Every story I got with every artist I've ever worked with, it has an elaborate story attached to it.
Yeah. So I mean, man, so talk about, because I mean at this point you're known for, I mean, I guess you could say it was at that time known as a quote unquote East Coast sound with these soul beats, but you're from the South, man. Was there anybody ever surprised, like, oh, you from the South making this music like this?
And see, that's what the whole, the thing that that I always talked about.
Because I know we get a bad, they when you're in the South, they put you in that box,
They put you in the box, not knowing that a majority, if the Godfather of soul, the Godfather of hip hop and soul is James Brown, who's from Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah.
So the whole four on the floor boom bap type of comes from the South. Like that's a South.
Yeah.
I don't care if we talking about that. I don't care if we talking about Willie Mitchell and Al Green in Memphis. That ride feel that comes from the South. That's a Southern bounce. And then that was taken. And those break beats turned into break beats, New York sample, boom. And that became the crux of New York 90s sound, the 80s or 90s sound. And that was attached to a New York sound, but those sounds and drum patterns came from the South. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And then you linked up with somebody else from the South, man. Y'all put out one of my favorites, man. That Death of a Pop Star, man, with Banner.
Banner. Let me tell you something, man. It was once again, I met Banner because one of my true school DJs, DJ Cousin B, went to Jackson State and Jackson, Mississippi. David Banner's from Mississippi. And he was on the street team. He was a DJ and he was also on the street team when Banner put out Crooked Letters, when Banner was in Crooked Letters.
Yeah.
And they knew each other. They knew each other from and he so happened to see David Banner somewhere. And he was like, yo, David Banner said, do you know Knife One? He said, yeah, that's my boy. And he's like, get him on the phone. And I remember him on the phone. And once again, somebody who was not in my trajectory. Like I'm not thinking I'm gonna work with David Banner. And then he came up to North Carolina. And that's ended up becoming one of my closest homeboys. Like, my mama love him, man. My whole family loves David Banner. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Y'all ever gonna do part 2 to that?
Huh?
Y'all ever gonna do a part 2 to that? Like a follow-up?
Yeah, when we slow down, no pun intended. When we decide to do it, it's with music like that, man, we can do it at any time. Timeless music you can do anytime. We're still waiting on the Outkast album, like right now. Like, yeah. If Outkast said they're gonna do an album, we there, bro. What? So,
thanks.
Yeah, that type of thing.
Yeah. Now another person, man, you got from the South, man, and this was more. I think this was a mixtape record, but that Life Is a Gamble with Crit, man.
Crit. Mm-hmm. I met Crit in New York City, because at the time he was managed by Sha Money XL from G Unit. And Sha heard I was in New York. He said, man, come by the spot. And I went by his place, and Crit was in there. And that was the first time I met Crit. He said, I got a rapper here that want to meet you real bad. And I said, okay. So I came by, and that's before Crit put out Return of Forever. And, I talked to him, and, he told me.
Y'all, I think, meeting on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken. Is that the time?
They put it on the two. Yeah, that was it. That was that night. And I met Crit, and again, man, I just been lucky, man, to meet good human beings. Crit is a great human being, like very good dude, man. Just you can tell in his music, you can tell he means it, and you can tell that he's just a salt of the earth person. That's just Crit, man. Like, and I wish all the best for him still. But Life Is a Gamble is joint me and him, BJ Chicago Kid did.
Yeah. Yeah. And then one of my favorite ones, another one from the South, man, Newer, that Threat, man, with Chains.
Yeah. I met Chains. I met Chains a long time ago. I met Chains when he was in the group he was in, Player Circle. Yeah. And I met him a long time ago. And then he was Titty Boy. And then, we had seen each other in passing. And so then I saw him in the radio room at the BET Awards one year. It's the only time I've ever been in debate. I don't be going to the BET Awards. That just ain't my thing. And so I just so happened to go this year, not to the awards, but to the weekend, because Rhapsody had to go. So my whole team went. So I saw him in the radio room in the BET Awards, and he came up to me. He said, "What's up, dog?" I said, "What's up, man?" He said, "Man, we're gonna do something. When you want to do something, send the beats." Sent him beats, and then he said, "Man, don't send me a whole bunch. I heard you got a whole bunch of beats." I said, "I do got a whole bunch of beats." He said, "Man, send me about 5. Don't send me a whole lot. Send me about 5." And I sent him 5, and "Feel good to be here." He rapped, though. He said that back, and I was like, "Wow."
That record's crazy, man.
So yeah, man, it's just the way it comes about. It's never the most typical way. Never.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned we can talk a little bit about Jamla, man. You mentioned Rhapsody. It kind of seems like I've been seeing Rhapsody at South by Southwest probably for the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like with this last album, that everybody kind of woke up, and now it's a thing. Like when you start talking about women who rap, you say Megan, you'll say Cardi, you say Nicki, and it's always be somebody gonna say Rhapsody.
Yeah.
But what
I
do
mean,
you think was the turn there? Shout out to my boy Mark Bird too. He produced the Nina record.
yes, he did. He did. He produced Nina.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, perception is everything. You know, I think the Roc Nation, us signing a partnership with the Roc Nation really helped out to raise the awareness. The awareness started it was in levels. The awareness was started like, oh, this is a knife artist, and the awareness went up once she was on To Pimp a Butterfly, the only rapper on there. So then it went up again when we did the Roc Nation thing, and then it went up. It kept going up and up. And, you know, it just takes a while, man. Like you gotta keep chipping away. Like I just remember when Kendrick Lamar put out his first mixtape in 2003. We didn't get Good Kid, Mad City until 2011. That's 8 years.
yeah.
You know, we got Section 80. Well, 2012. We got Section 80 in 2011. So it was from his first mixtape to Good Kid. It took 9 years. 9 years, and people don't understand how long it takes that long. You know, especially if you're that type of artist, it takes a while. But she's here now, and to some people, she's just getting started, and that's good. So,
Yeah, and then you man, you got to work with Nipsey, man. Talk a little bit about that.
yeah, man. I met Nipsey at a One Stop Shop producer conference in Phoenix, Arizona. He's walking around with his manager, and I met him for the first time. And he reminded me so much of Snoop. I said, God, you Snoop all over again, man. This is amazing, right? Because it was the time where I'm starting to see rappers being the second generation of rappers and not really trying to be. It wasn't like he was trying to be. It was like he just had that essence about him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same way. It's the same way when I first saw Capital Steez and Joey Badass. And the first thing I thought of was, this is Boot Camp Click all over again for a new generation. It was like that type of thing. And so, you know, Nip, man.
Did y'all do the record?
Huh?
Did you send it to him?
Huh?
Did you send the record to him, or did y'all work in the studio together?
I sent the record to him, but when we did the record for Rhapsody's album on Rhapsody's the record we did for She Got Game, we did it in Los Angeles in his studio. And it's so crazy, man. Like, it was such a crazy moment that day when I found out what I found out. And I was watching the NCAA tournament, and Duke had just lost to Michigan State. And I was like, I had just turned the game off. Like, I was mad. I just turned the game off.
So you're already in a funk, yeah.
Yeah, I'm already, I mean, in seconds, I turned the game off. I went to Twitter to see, you know, what everybody was going to say about Duke. And then the first thing I saw was Nipsey's been shot. And I was like, what? So the first thing I did was got on the phone and called Los Angeles. And when I called my man Bad Luck. I called Luck, and I was like, look, what the hell is going on out there? He was like, man, it ain't good. He was just, I saw him at the Roc Nation brunch, and I saw him at All-Star Weekend in Charlotte, North Carolina. And Nip was one of the first rappers, if not the first rapper, to call me OG. Everybody else would say ninth. He was the first rapper to say, OG, what's good, man? What's good, OG? What's going on? Like, he would refer to me as such. And I was like, yo, like, you ain't got to, he said, yeah, I do. You OG, man. You deserve that. Like, he was really, you know, yeah. He was changing in front of us. Yeah. And it was a shame they took him from us. It was a shame.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Very unfortunate, man. Very unfortunate. And I mean, you've done, you know, the Kendrick record, which anybody watching this, I'm not going to talk about some of that stuff, but you can find those answers on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? But a little bit about, because I know Instagram's going to cut me off in a minute, about verses, man. You been keeping up with the verses?
You talking about the Swizz Beatz Timberland?
Yeah.
I think it's dope. I'm not going to do it.
Oh, that's what I was gonna ask. If you were to do it, who would be your ideal opponent?
Nobody. Because for me, I mean, it'd be good to celebrate the records that I've done and a lot of people watch, but you know, for me, some people was like, yo, you and Just Blaze. Okay, all right, okay. I'm like, I'm just not a big proponent in battling against nostalgia. Because you're not battling against the record, you're battling against nostalgia. That's a total, it's
It's
like,
gonna always be up to how you connect to that record, and
it all depends on how you connect to the record.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what it is. I just enjoy watching them though. I enjoy watching the verses, watching the comments, laughing at the comments. I mean, I'm cool on it, man. Like I'm cool on it. You know what I mean? I think shouts to Swizz and Timbaland for even doing it. It gave us definite needed entertainment during this COVID pandemic. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to some more that they may have, and yeah, I'm just gonna do Fasss Auntie Lounge, bro. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, that's what's up. So real quick before we get out of here, man. I mean, you work with everybody. I think everybody for the most part. Is there anybody that you have worked with, collaboration, whether living or somebody that may pass away?
I'm running out of people, dog. It's now it's my label, of course, and it's a lot of new young R&B people out, man. Golly, like everybody from Alex Isley to Raven Lene and Lion Babe, and God, like,
Is that kind of the lane you want to kind of get into more? Doing more
yeah,
R&B?
man. Like, I'm doing an EP with Alex Isley. As a matter of fact, it's almost done, pretty much. But I mean, it's that vibe, man. It's a real good feeling. Like the Daniel Caesar, like Sir. I got a whole album of Sir that we don't know if it was coming out.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Sidebar.
12 tracks, dog. 12 tracks.
That was a very short snippet, and I want to say it may have been you and Lil Uzi. Did you do a record with Lil Uzi? No.
I ain't do no Lil Uzi.
Are
Are you talking about the joint that he was rapping one time on the?
Yeah.
I didn't do that beat, but I remember sending him a DM. I was like, boy, you can do that? Like, I was like, boy, what? And they all could do that. They just choose to do something else. But yeah, just the Daniel Caesar, Sir, D Smoke, all of that type of R&B, like I'm with all that, man. It's just,
So you were saying with the Sir album, I got a whole album. What's the hold up with it?
Man, it ain't me. So that's all I gotta say. It ain't me. I play it time for time on in Fasss Auntie. I played in Fasss Auntie, but it ain't me, G. That's all I gotta say. It ain't me.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm sure probably at the top of the list. What would be the overall goal at this point? Because I mean, you've done a lot, man.
I'm dealing with a lot of cross pollination and stuff with academia and basketball. I'm dealing with a lot, and just trying to see where that takes me. As far as I'm just real big on right now, trying to find new inventive ways to make sure our next generation of men is on the right track. Not perfect, but on the right track. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, what I'm trying to do. What I want to do is to make sure that we on the right, these next generation of young boys be on the right track and figure out what they want to do, dog. Because it's a lot of lost young men out here for whatever reason, sometimes no fault of their own. And I want to do that. That's the biggest thing for me. To make sure that stays intact, and whether it be through basketball or whether it be through music, I always try to give a ear to, I talk for Lil Yachty. I talk to Lil Yachty from time to time. I'll talk to anybody. I don't care if it's NBA young boy. I don't care what it is, and I'm not going to approach them on some, you know everything, I know everything, you don't. I ain't got time for that. You know what I mean? Because most of them see me like, oh, Knife, what's up, man? And we have a great conversation. They know what to expect from me. But, I just think these young boys need, instead of us pointing at them saying they don't know nothing, they need an ear, they need somebody to listen to them, and they needed like somebody to get their feelings off, because some of them walking around confused, some of them walking around with no guidance, some of them walking around just, upset about what things that we probably can't control. And I'm trying to get more than that, to make sure the next generation of men, hip hop, basketball, or outside of it, if they come to me, and make sure I got a word for them. So yeah.
Yeah. That's what's up, man. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you taking time out to chop it up with me, man. This has been real dope.
All good, no doubt, man.
Sure.
All right, man. Peace.
All
right.
Yo, thank y'all for tuning in. I'm Donnie Houston. They already knocked me off here, but hit the follow button. You know what I mean? I'm Donnie Houston. Check out the podcast at the link in my bio. We got interviews with Ninth Wonder now, but Rock Wilder, Mike Dean, man, all kind of people, man. So check it out. Donnie Houston, I appreciate y'all, man. I'm out.